everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be reviewing this album. It is Eat to the Beat by Blondie. So this album review was requested by a user called John Titor. So yeah, thank you for requesting this album review. So yeah, this was the group's fourth album released in October of 1979. Like it followed up like the hugely successful Parallel Lines, which yeah, massively successful album, very much broke Blondie like into like the mainstream music scene like of like the late 70s. So for this follow-up album, they decided to make it like a little bit similar, like sort of like following like the winning formula, like all like Parallel Lines, and using like the same producer, like a guy called Mike Chapman. However, according to producer Chapman, like some of like the sessions for this were like quite difficult, like with like drugs and like infighting between like the band members, like commonplace during the sessions. Also here they were expanding their sound like a little bit, like we get like a couple more sort of like punkish style tracks, a few more sort of reggae ones, some more dance like oriented stuff on here, just like a wide variety like of styles. Another notable thing like about this album was that a like collection of like music videos and like promotional films was made for every song like on like, the album. Like, I think it was like released like on like a VHS and like was like a TV special. Like this was actually quite commonplace like during 1979. Like there's at least like two other albums like what I know of like what done this, like Wings, Back to the Egg, and like ELO's Discovery. Like every song like on like those albums it had like a little like promotional like music video like to go along with it. So yeah, it must have just been like a pretty common thing to do like back in like 1979, like a new sort of like thing what didn't really catch on. So yeah, when this was released like it was commercially successful, like at least in like the UK where it tops like the UK charts. However, it only reached number 17 like in Blondie's native America. Like surprisingly enough, like they were never like actually like, that popular like in like America. Like by this point in time, like, they were considered just like a one-hit wonder with like their song Heart of Glass. Certainly like the British audience like took to them like a lot more like than like the US like audience did. However, despite like only peaking at number 17 in like the US charts, like it was one of the top selling best albums like in like 1980, like showing that they were like building like their fan base like at least like in like the US. It also got like a lot of like critical acclaim, this album very much proving that they had staying power after Parallel Lines. So I'm now just going to proceed and show you my vinyl copy of the album here. Here is the cover, as we all know, and there's the back of it there, just like the other like three band members there. Like I don't know like the names like off like the top of my head like just yet. I think that's Chris Stein, like the guitar player, and I'm not sure like who he is, but there's a band there. And then in here we have the inner sleeve, who it tells you who like they all are. So in Blondie we have Clem Burke playing the drums, Jimmy Destari playing keyboards, Nigel Harrison on bass, Debbie Harry of course vocals, Frank Infanti guitars and vocals, and like yeah, Chris Stein like on guitars as well. I think that like he was going out with Debbie Harry actually. But yeah, there's the back of it there, and there's the record label on the Chrysalis label. So yeah, I'm now just going to go over each of the album songs. There's 12 songs in total to go over. I will score each song out of 10, and then those scores will be used to give us a overall percentage marking for the album. So the first song here is called Dreaming, which I really love. A great way to start the album. Just sort of comes in like with like this really fantastic drumming like from like Clem Burke. Yeah, really fun song. But for me personally, a little bit like of like a step down like from like the material like on Parallel Lines, like a little bit more like poppy this song here. Like it does have like really like nice harmony vocals on it. Reached number 2 in like the UK singles chart. So yeah, really great song there to kick off the album. Next track in though, like I probably prefer, it is called The Hardest Part, which I really love. It starts off really well. You've got this really sort of like funky like guitar riff what kicks off the track. Lyrics on all lyrics on this one like are like, supposed to like describe like an armed like sort of car robbery and that. Yeah, just a really great sort of like toe tapping rhythm song, very well produced and that. Like I think this was the second single for the American audience, however like I think it failed to chart. Like I don't think that like I found like any like chart positions for like this song here, the hardest part, but I think it's a brilliant song, like really really underrated track. Next one is probably my favourite Blondie song, like out of like every song what like they've ever like done. Union City Blue, just a really great song like ever. Like it starts off so well. We've got like the drums what come in, sort of like the guitar riff and that like over them, and then like it just builds up so well like in like the introduction, and then like the rest of like the instruments all just come in really sort of great big sound. Like the sound of this track is just absolutely stunning. Yeah, like real sort of like anthematic sound to it. Like I mean, like it isn't one of like their biggest hits. Like it only reached number 13 in like the UK singles charts, but it is an absolutely flawless track. Like if like you ask me, Union City Blue, an easy 10 for me. Fourth track in now is called Shayla, not too sure like how like you say this on here, but it's basically just like a mid-pace song. Like starts off quite quiet, quite sort of spooky, and that tells a story basically like of like a working woman's like daily life. Like I mean, like it is like a nice song. Although for me, it does seem a little bit half written, because the actual like chorus to this one, like there's no like lyrics. It's just sort of Debbie Harry singing like whoa 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 and just sort of like singing of that. I mean like it sounds like really nice, but like it does seem like a little bit like half written. Like that's like the only thing with this. It sounds like they got to the chorus and thought, nah, we'll just sort of like make it up like as we go along, like for like the chorus of this one here basically. But yeah, still not a bad song though. Shayla, yeah, giving it a 8 out of 10. Next up is the title cut, Eat to the Beat, which I'm not the biggest fan of personally. It's quite a punkish song, this one here, which certainly does like pick up the album like after like a little bit like off like a slower like mid-tempo number. But as an actual song, it is a little bit bad. I mean, like lyrically, it is very silly. Musically, it is a tad annoying, I have to say, but it isn't awful. I mean, like I can like listen to the song and like if like I'm in like the mood for just a bit of harmless and fun, like into like sort of like that sort of like punk sound, then yeah, like this is maybe like a good song. But for me, most of the time, it isn't a track what does much for me though. So yeah, Eat to the Beat would get a 5 out of 10 for me.
Accidents never happen, could have planned it all.
Closing side 1 now have the song Accidents Never Happen, which I'm giving a 8 out of 10 to. This is a really good song. Really got like nothing like bad to say about it really, but like it just doesn't quite stand out like as much as like some of like the other stuff like on this album here. Interesting sound like on it, like production wise, and like yeah, like has like a good like melody like on it as well. Like the chorus like is like pretty memorable on it. So yeah, a good song, like nothing spectacular, but a good album track. Opening up now to side 2 have the song Die Young Stay Pretty, which is kind of reggae-ish style track here. Very similar style to like the song that they would do like the following year, like The Tide Is High, like massive like #1 single for them. Like I mean like this one, like it isn't bad like lyrically like or musically, but it does just feel a little bit forced. It feels like, okay, we've got to do like a reggae song because this is sort of like fashionable now, so like we'll do it like this. Yeah, that's what it kind of feels like for me with this song here, but it isn't bad though. Just a little bit fillery, like if like you ask me. Cut now is called Slow Motion, which I really love. I think this picks up the album really well. Like me, like it's got like a sort of early sort of 1960s girl group sound on it, which is a great sound like anyway. This song was like due to be released like as like a single. However, like, I think like the story goes was that their non-album single song Call Me, which I think was from like a soundtrack to like a film or something, that got released like ahead of schedule, and like became like a massive like #1 hit, that like it would seem daft like putting out like this song like after that. But it's still a really like great song though. Yeah, one of my personal favourites on the album. straight away, like on the middle of side 2 of this album, we get the song Atomic, one of Blondie's most popular songs, like a true classic track. This is something like what Blondie would often do, like on parallel lines. I think Heart of Glass and Sunday Girl, like right in the middle of side 2, like on most albums, like the prime spot for like filler material. But like here, no, we get like Atomic, which is a brilliant track, a slightly more like dance orientated track. I wouldn't call this song disco, like it is like kind of like forging, like it is like sort of like moving on from that, and that, which I think is like really good. Like doesn't sound dated at all, this track, like it still sounds like a very contemporary record. And like lyrically, this song like doesn't mean like too much, like it was like I believe like all just like made up like on the spot, but it is musically just so fun, like a massive like #1 hit for them, like in like the UK. Like however, like it only reached number 39 in like the US charts, like absolutely like criminal there. But yeah, just a brilliant track here, Atomic. After that, the album does seem like a little bit like off, like a letdown. We get a song called Sound Asleep, which I'm giving a 6 out of 10. So this is like a slightly softer sort of like lullaby style song. Like it is kind of like sort of like generic like lyrics, just like go to sleep and like sort of like being tired and like whatnot of that. A little bit like underwhelming, like coming after like Atomic. Yeah, like it isn't like an awful song like by any means, just not a very special one like for me. And then, talking of awful songs, we get a track called Victor, which, yeah, like I'm not a fan of this one at all, really. Starts with this very sort of strange, like, sound on it, like quite mysterious sounding thing. Okay, where's this gonna go? And then Debbie Harry kind of like starts wailing on it, sort of doing like a best like Yoko Ono like impression on it. Yeah, doesn't do like anything for me. This song, very annoying track. Yeah, just not a very good song at all. Like a 2 out of 10 for Victor, but like even then, like, I think I'm being like very generous, like giving it that. But then the final song though, like does redeem the album somewhat. A song called Living in the Real World, more off like a rockin' style song, and that like quite like the song a bit. Like the chorus like is good. Track has like a lot of power in it. It's just not a particularly like memorable song. Like again, like now, like I'm struggling like to sort of like remember like how like it goes like, but like from like my notes and that, like I've got it. It was a really like good, solid rocking track. So, overall, this album would score 77%, which isn't a bad score for this. Like, this does get praised, like, a lot for having, like, a wide variety, like, of styles and, like, sounds, and then, like, expanding their sound while still sort of, like, retaining, like, their new wave, sort of, like, rock, like, credibility and that. But for me, it is a little bit messy. Like, there are some absolutely true highlights on this album, such as Dreaming, The Hardest Part, Union City Blue, of course Atomic, Slow Motion is great as well. So there are like a handful of like real like top class songs. However, some of these tracks, they do seem a little bit forced. Stuff like Each of the Bee and like Die Young Stay Pretty, Sound Asleep and that, like it seems like they're trying like a little bit too hard to be different. Like, and then like there's like the one song which is just downright bad, Victor. Yeah, can like live without ever hearing that song like ever again. But yeah, like I do like appreciate this album, like the band like trying to like expand their sound and like make music more like out with like their comfort zone. So yeah, I would like to know what you think like of this album, like down below, like in like the comments. For me, compared with like all the Blondie albums, the only one what I've got like is like Parallel Lines, which I of course, I probably like prefer that one. Like I would say, most people probably do. However, like you never know. Some people might think this like is like the better album. Like I would like to know that in like the comments section. And I will see you all next time for the next album review. Goodbye.